Welcome to the QuickBooks Program Review webinar. Please note that this is a pre-recorded webinar. Metrics Learning program staff will be available for any questions that you have on the specified Q&A session date noted in the email you received for this webinar. In this review, we will review important information in the following topics. This includes special topics, set up payroll, time tracking, run payroll, security/multi-user, working with reports, Excel, and Word, utilities, year-end, customized forms, and find and save time. Just a refresher about the exam format. The 2012 QuickBooks Certified User Exam is administered through a company named Certiport. The exam is 50 minutes long and consists of 50 multiple-choice questions. It is an analytical exam. This means that rather than answering questions in QuickBooks itself, the exam will test you on your knowledge of QuickBooks and the concepts behind the program. There will be no interface of QuickBooks to refer to. Throughout this webinar, I'll be referring to the Day 2 manual available through the Mastering QuickBooks Level 1 course. Okay, let's begin the review. Chapter 1 covered special topics in QuickBooks. The first area that was covered was NSF, or non-sufficient funds, checks. If someone writes you a bad check, you will need to record several transactions in QuickBooks. 1. Record the money taken out of your account for the NSF check in the bank account register. 2. Record the bank's charge for the return check in the bank account register. 3. Enter a statement charge for the NSF fee. And 4. Send the customer a statement which includes the NSF check and the NSF fee. Pages 2 through 4 of the manual give step-by-step instruction on how to complete these steps. Next, we learn about customer deposits. There are several ways to handle customer deposits. Real-world training recommends the method shown on pages 5 and 6 in the manual because it's the easiest to follow for non-accountants. The way that real-world training recommends you record customer deposits is the following. 1. Receive payment. 2. Invoice the customer. And 3. Apply credits. This chapter also covers credit cards. To add a credit card in QuickBooks, you'll want to add it to the chart of accounts by clicking the icon on the home page, click the Account button, and select New from the menu. Then you're able to enter credit card charges from the Enter Credit Card Charges icon on the home page. We also learn about setting up petty cash. Some companies use a petty cash fund for small purchases rather than writing checks. You can set up a petty cash account by going to the chart of accounts and adding this as a new bank account. To fund and use petty cash, you will use the Write Checks icon on the home page. Chapter 2 discusses how to set up payroll. In setting up payroll from scratch, there are 3 steps. 1. Select a payroll service. 2. Complete the payroll setup interview. And 3. Create payroll schedules. There are 4 payroll services you can choose from: Basic Payroll, Enhanced Payroll, Assisted Payroll, and Direct Deposit. Depending upon the needs of your business, each subscription offers various services. Once you select a payroll service, the next step is to complete the payroll setup interview, which walks you through the process of setting up your payroll. To begin the process, select Employees, Payroll Setup from the top menu of QuickBooks. You will then be brought through the steps of the payroll setup interview. Lastly, you will create payroll schedules, which define when you should run payroll so that you can pay employees. We also learn about payroll items in QuickBooks. QuickBooks uses payroll items for anything that affects the amount on a payroll check and for company expenses related to payroll. When you add an item, you can use Easy Setup or Custom Setup. Easy Setup is recommended. To set up payroll items in QuickBooks, go to Employees, Manage Payroll Items, New Payroll Item in the menu. Refer to pages 22 to 23 in the Day 2 manual to review payroll item types and how to add and edit items. Lastly, we learn how to add new employees in QuickBooks. To do this, go to the Employee Center to display the employees list. To add an employee, click the New Employee button. You will then see 3 areas to add information to: personal information, address and contact, and additional information. In the Payment and Compensation tab, you will indicate items such as employee compensation, paid time off, insurance benefits, and so on. This tab is very important because what you enter will appear on the employee's paycheck. In Chapter 3, we learn about time tracking. Time tracking allows you to track how long an employee, subcontractor, or owner spends on each job. The time entered is then used in several ways: to invoice the customer for the time spent working on jobs, to print reports showing the time spent on jobs, and to use the information in preparing employee paychecks. First, you set up time tracking preferences under Edit, Preferences, Time and Expenses in the menu. Once set up, QuickBooks lets you track the time employees or subcontractors spend on each job. Time can then be used to pay employees, pay subcontractors, and also invoice customers. There are 4 ways to enter time in QuickBooks. 1. By single activity. 2. Timesheet. 3. Directly onto Paycheck. And 4. QuickBooks Time and Billing Manager. I found pages 29 through 35 in the Day 2 manual very helpful to refer to for time tracking because of the screenshots of the QuickBooks system and step-by-step information. Chapter 4 covers running payroll. First, we learn how to create employee paychecks. To do this, on the home page, click the Pay Employees icon. Then select Start Schedule Payroll. There are 3 steps to creating paychecks. 1. Enter paycheck information. 2. Review and create paychecks. And 3. Print and distribute paychecks. On the Enter Paycheck Information tab, you will see a list of employees at the bottom of the page. The check mark indicates that you are preparing a paycheck for that employee. If you would like to exclude an employee from this payroll, click once to the left of the employee's name to uncheck their name. In printing paychecks for employees, there are 3 check styles you can use: Standard, Wallet, and Voucher. The preferred style of check to give an employee a pay stub is Voucher. This style prints 1 check per page with the check on the top of the page and the voucher information including taxes, earnings, and payroll on the bottom. This is an example of a question I had on the test. We also learn about paying liabilities and taxes. When you create paychecks, QuickBooks calculates taxes and due dates for you based on your payment schedules. You enter the payment schedule for each liability when you add a payroll liability item. QuickBooks shows the due dates for the payments and also warns if and when liability payments are overdue. Liabilities icon on the home page. This will list the taxes or liabilities you have to pay. From there, you can enter expenses or payment. We also learn about Tax Form 941. The IRS requires that you file this form. A 941 summarizes federal income taxes, Social Security, and Medicare paid during a quarter. QuickBooks uses a special interview window to collect the information it needs to create this form. QuickBooks will open the interview needed for this form. Page 45 of the manual has more information about this process. In Chapter 5, we learn about security/multi-user settings. QuickBooks Pro and Premier allow up to 5 users to access the same company data at the same time. In order to use QuickBooks in multi-user mode, a licensed copy of QuickBooks must be installed on each computer. To set QuickBooks up in multi-user mode, the first step is to designate one person as the QuickBooks administrator. This person will have unlimited access to all of QuickBooks. They are the only person who can add new users, change user privilege, import and export data, adjust company info and preferences, set a closing date, and create portable company files. To assign both an administrator and users, select Company from the menu, Set up Users and Passwords, Set up Users. For administrator, you will then enter the administrator's name, password, and challenge answer or security question. To set up a user, you will add the user's name, create a password, and designate the level of access to each area of QuickBooks. Page 50 of the Day 2 manual gives more information about each area and controlled access to users. In order for more than one person to access a company file, you must ensure that QuickBooks is in multi-user mode. To do this, go to the top menu and select File Switch to multi-user mode. Lastly, in this chapter, we learn about the Audit Trail Report. If you suspect that someone has changed a transaction, you will run the audit trail. This report shows you transactions that have been added, edited, and deleted. It also shows the original transaction. the users that changed the transaction, as well as the exact date and time it was changed. In Chapter 6, we learn about working with reports. Reports are the most important part of your accounting system. For the QuickBooks Certified User Exam, the subject of reports makes up the highest percentage of questions that you will be asked. Therefore, I recommend reviewing pages 53 through 64 in your Day 2 manual to make sure you understand the functions and features of reports. The Report Center helps locate and run reports that show the information you need. The Report Center is available on the home page. Once accessing the Report Center, you can see the different categories of reports available. For each option, QuickBooks displays the question that the report answers, allows you to change the data range, run a report, add a report as a favorite, and get more information about the report. If you would like to modify the information in a report, you are able to customize the report. Choose the report you'd like to modify and then click the Customize Report button. In the Modify Report window, you are able to change the column that appears in the report and add and edit headers and footers, as well as change fonts and numbers. You can also add report filters, which adjust the information shown in the report. If you would like to know more information about a specific number in a report, you can use the Quick Zoom feature. This will give more in-depth detail. On a summary report, Quick Zoom displays a list of transactions that makes up that number. On a report that lists transactions, Quick Zoom opens the actual transaction. Report preferences in QuickBooks allow you to customize the format reports for your business needs. You are able to adjust preferences for reports across the board by going to Edit, Preferences, Reports, and Graphs. If there is a report that you would like to run consistently, you are able to memorize a report. This saves the report so that you can run it in the future. To memorize a report, click Memorize. You are able to name the report and save it as a template. Lastly, we learn about report groups. QuickBooks lets you display/print multiple reports at one time. To do so, create a Memorize Report group. To add a Memorize Report group, select Reports, Memorize Reports, Memorize Report List in the menu. Then select to add a new group. Once you have added a Memorize Report group, you can select reports to add and process multiple reports to display or print. In Chapter 7, we learn about how to send information from QuickBooks to Microsoft Excel or Word. Using the features of both programs, you are able to get even more information from QuickBooks data. First, we learn how to export a report to Excel. To do this, open the report and click the Export button. Select whether to create a new worksheet or update an existing worksheet from the menu. Choose any advanced options and click Export. Once the report is exported, you are able to change items such as column name or total a column row if QuickBooks does not do this. You are also able to update the Excel report if new information comes in to QuickBooks. Please note that any changes made in an Excel report cannot be imported into QuickBooks. When you send a QuickBooks report to Excel, the Auto-Filter feature allows you to have a drop-down list for each column to allow filtering. QuickBooks can integrate with Microsoft Word as well to perform functions such as creating or editing a letter or envelopes. Using the Letters and Envelopes feature, you can create and send letters such as collection letters. QuickBooks has templates for letters, and you are able to create them yourself as well. By accessing options in the Add-ins tab of Word, you can enter information from QuickBooks into fields to create your own letter to send. Chapter 8 reviews utilities you can use in your QuickBooks company file. First, we learn about backing up a QuickBooks file. Making regular backups of your QuickBooks file ensures you will always have a recent copy of your critical accounting records should a data loss occur. There are 4 ways to back up your company file in QuickBooks. The first is Backup Online. This is a free service that backs your file up online. The second is Manual Backup. When you want to create a backup file, create a backup file in QuickBooks. The third is an Automatic Backup, which happens when you close a data file. Last, a Scheduled Backup. You must run the backup wizard to create a schedule. QuickBooks will then run the backup for you. Next, we review restoring a company file. Some of the reasons you may need to restore a backup file is maybe you wish to review the company data as it stood at an earlier date, if the company data file on your hard drive is damaged and cannot be used, or your computer crashed. You reloaded QuickBooks and now you're ready to open the company file. To restore a company file, select File, Open, or Restore Company from the menu, and select Restore a Backup Copy. Choose Local or Online Backup, and click Next. Select the file to restore and click Open. Choose where to restore the file to and click Save. Chapter 9 covers year-end procedures. Every company must complete various procedures at year-end. If you are an accounting professional, you complete these procedures yourself, or if you're not, your accountant completes these. In either case, you use last year's financial records, so your QuickBooks company file is essential. There are 4 specific steps you may need to perform at year-end. 1. Consult the QuickBooks Year-End Guide in your accountant to build a complete list of tasks that you will need to perform at year-end. 2. Set a closing date and password to restrict users from a prior period. 3. Provide your accountant with your QuickBooks financial information using a method such as the accountant's copy. 4. Incorporate changes from accountant. The QuickBooks Year-End Guide will help you build a complete list of year-end accounting tasks. The Year-End Guide is available under Help, Year-End Guide. There you will see a checklist of the individual steps you may need to perform at year-end. We also learn how to set a closing date and why this is important. Setting a closing date is important because it allows you to close the books and not change any financial transactions dated for that year. QuickBooks allows you to restrict user access to prior accounting periods by setting a closing date and password. For transactions to be changed, a user must have the closing date password. To set a closing date and password, you will go to Company, Set Closing Date, and then Set Date/Password. You'll then enter the password and then enter a closing date. Transactions before or on the closing date will then be protected. You are then able to restrict users from changing or deleting transactions before this date. If a user attempts to access this or any area where they do not have permissions, they will see a message in QuickBooks. Pages 77 through 80 give more detailed information about sending financial information to your accountant as well as account settings. Chapter 10 reviews how to customize forms. You are able to customize forms in QuickBooks from existing design templates or by creating your own design. To create a form design in QuickBooks, you'll want to open the form you'd like to edit and click the Customize button. In the QuickBooks Forms Customization window, you are able to make adjustments such as selecting a background, adding a company logo, and so on. QuickBooks will make copies of the templates you select and give you the option to apply the customization to different kinds of forms. The original templates are not changed. Through the Customize button, you are also able to change the data layout of different forms and choose which fields and columns show in each form. You are also able to duplicate a custom form if you would like to use the template as a starting point for other forms. To do this, you go to Lists, Template in the menu and select the template you'd like to duplicate. Lastly, this chapter gives information on how to download templates from the Intuit QuickBooks community. This option is also under Lists, Templates in the menu, and allows you to save a copy of the downloaded form to your computer for future use. Lastly, Chapter 11 gives us information on how to find and save time in QuickBooks. First, we learn about the QuickBooks Calendar. The calendar allows you to keep track of when bills and invoices are due, and to set reminders to remind you of important tasks with QuickBooks. It is accessible from the QuickBooks Calendar icon on the home page. Next, we learn about the Find feature of QuickBooks. Use the Find button to quickly locate transactions. QuickBooks features a Find button on checks, invoices, bills, estimates, sales receipts, credit card charges, purchase orders, credit memos, and sales orders. We also learn about the Search feature. QuickBooks Search helps you find list entries, transactions, and menu items. If you are unsure of how to access a certain feature, or which form something is on, the Search option will allow you to look through QuickBooks for an answer. Lastly, we learn about the Memorize Transaction feature of QuickBooks. If you have transactions that often occur, you can memorize the transaction to reuse it whenever needed. QuickBooks lets you memorize checks, bills, invoices, and many other transactions. Pages 94 through 95 in the Day 2 manual give information about memorizing transactions. This concludes the program review webinar. We hope you found this helpful. Best of luck in your exam preparation, and we look forward to hearing from you at the final review session.